Good afternoon, church family. How are we today? Good. It's been a little while since you've had to listen to me. Now, I'm going to apologize now because while I'm a person who believes in the law of averages, I got the going on this, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to average Jelani out from last Sabbath when it comes to time. But hopefully you'll bear with me a little bit. In 2001, a new TV show hosted by Joe Rogan aired on NBC. The show pitted 3 men and 3 women against each other. The goal? To win $50,000. And how? To complete 3 challenges. In the first challenge, each person would complete a physical test with the top 2 men and the top 2 women advancing. In the second challenge, each person would complete a mental test, with the participants advancing as long as they completed the challenge. And then there was the final challenge, where the person who performed the best in the final challenge won. All of these challenges were meant to do one thing: test a person's level of fear. These challenges varied from walking tight ropes between tall buildings, being suspended upside down underwater, lying in pits full of snakes or cockroaches, bobbing for chicken feet in vats of live mealworms, or completing obstacle courses while trying to avoid being hit by moving vehicles. Each challenge raising the level of fear within the contestant. And to that winner, $50,000, and being informed by Joe Rogan that evidently fear is not a factor for you. And if you haven't guessed this show by now, the show was Fear Factor. I can remember watching this show and saying, I can do that. I can do that. I got that. But I'm going to tell you, there was some stuff that they made people eat, or some stuff that they made people lay in, that I don't know if I could have done it. But you see, fear has always been part of our lives. And where did fear begin? Well, I'm going to invite you to turn to Genesis chapter 3, where we can see where fear begins. 3 verse 1. Now the serpent was more crafty than any beast of the field which the Lord had made. And he said to the woman, Indeed, has God said, You shall not eat from any tree of the garden? The woman said to the serpent, From the fruit of the trees of the garden we may eat. But from the fruit of the tree which is in the middle of the garden, God has said, You shall not eat from it or touch it, or you will die. The serpent said to the woman, You surely will not die. For God knows that in the day you eat from it, your eyes will be open, and you will be like God, knowing good and evil. When the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was a delight to the eyes, and that the tree was desirable to make one wise, she took from its fruit and ate. And she gave also to her husband with her, and he ate. Then the eyes of both of them were opened, and they knew that they were naked. And they sewed fig leaves together and made themselves loin coverings. They heard the sound of the Lord walking in the garden in the cool of the day, and the man and his wife hid themselves from the presence of the Lord God among the trees of the garden. Then the Lord called to the man and said to him, Where are you? He said, I heard the sound of you in the garden, and I was afraid. You see, Satan knew what would happen. He knew that as soon as man sinned, the consequence of that sin would be fear. And fear from the one who created them. A consequence that Satan uses in an attempt to perpetuate his plan. To give us the desire to hide from God. Satan knew that fear would follow sin and that fear would have direct results on us. You see, fear is a basic, intense emotion aroused by the detection of imminent threat, involving an immediate alarm reaction that mobilizes the person by triggering a set of physiological changes. And while only a baby is born with essentially two fears, fears of falling and fears of loud noises, they quickly learn other fears. They learn it from their experiences. They learn it from their environment. They learn it from their parents. They learn it from their friends. And this fear that they learn can have negative impacts on physical health. It can impair one's memory, interrupt our abilities to process information, and cause us to feel fatigued, anxious, and depressed. Fear has become a powerful tool for Satan in an attempt to separate us from God. But what does the Bible have to say about fear? Now, there's lots of stories that we could have picked. We could have picked Elijah, who feared for his life and ran to the wilderness, wanting to die. We could have picked Peter, walking on the water. We could have picked the disciples in the boat. But I've got a different story I would like us to take a look at, and I would like you to turn to Judges. Judges chapter 6, where here there is a story that I think fits very well in what God wants us to know about fear. So let's set the scene in Judges chapter 6. 6 verse 1, Then the sons of Israel did what was evil in the sight of the Lord, and the Lord gave them into the hands of Midian 7 years. The power of Midian prevailed against Israel because of Midian, the sons of Israel made for themselves the dens which were in the mountains and the caves and the strongholds. For it was when Israel had sown, and the Midianites would come up with the Amalekites and the sons of the east and go against them. So they would camp against them and destroy the produce of the earth as far as Gaza, and leave no sustenance in Israel, as well as no sheep, ox, or donkey. For they would come up with their livestock and their tents. They would come in like locusts for number. Both they and their camels were innumerable. And they came into the land to devastate it. So Israel was brought very low because of Midian, and the sons of Israel cried to the Lord. You see, the Midianites knew about fear. They created an environment of fear. They destroyed. They robbed. They left Israel feeling unsafe. Let's continue as we look at this story, though, because there's definitely more that we need to know. Judges 6, verse 11. Then the angel of the Lord came and sat under the oak that was in Ophrah, which belonged to Joash the Abiezrite, as his son Gideon was beating out wheat in the winepress in order to save it from the Midianites. Let's stop there a minute. What was Gideon doing? Beating wheat. Doesn't seem that uncommon. But where was he beating it? In the wine press. Do you think that they were used to beating wheat in their wine presses? No. Gideon was afraid. He was afraid of the Midianites. He was afraid that the Midianites would take what he needed in order to survive. So let's continue. Let's continue in verse 12. The angel of the Lord appeared to him and said to him, "The Lord is with you, O valiant warrior." I love that, valiant warrior. How would you love to be called a valiant warrior? Right? That should instill some confidence in you, right? So we go, "Oh, valiant warrior." Then Gideon said to him, "Oh, my Lord, if the Lord is with us, why then has all this happened to us? And where are all his miracles, which our fathers told us about, saying, 'Did not the Lord bring us up from Egypt?' But now the Lord has abandoned us and given us into the hands of the Midian." The Lord looked at him and said, "Go in this your strength and deliver Israel from the hand of Midian. Have I not sent you?" He said to him, "O Lord, how shall I deliver Israel? Behold, my family is the least in Manasseh, and I am the youngest in my father's house." But the Lord said to him, "Surely I will be with you, and you shall defeat Midian as one man." So Gideon said to him, "If now I have found favor in your sight, then show me a sign that it is you who speak with me. Please do not depart from here until I come back to you, and bring out my offering and lay it before you." And he said, "I will remain until you return." Then Gideon went in and prepared a young goat and unleavened bread from an ephah of flour. He put the meat in a basket and the broth in a pot and brought them out to him under the yoke and presented them. The angel of God said to him, "Take the meat and the unleavened bread and lay them on this rock and pour out the broth." And he did so. Then the angel of the Lord put out the end of the staff that was in his hand and touched the meat and the unleavened bread, and fire sprang up from the rock and consumed the meat and the unleavened bread. Then the angel of the Lord vanished from his sight. When Gideon saw that he was the angel of the Lord, he said, "Alas, O Lord, for now I have seen the angel of the Lord face to face." The Lord said to him, "Peace to you, do not fear, you shall not die." Here's the first instance, the first insight that God gives us when it comes to fear. You see, he was trying to encourage Gideon during his time of fear. "The Lord is with you, you mighty man of valor. Go in this might of yours. Surely I will be with you." He made fire rise out of the rock and consume. And he said, "The Lord saying, peace be with you, do not fear, you shall not die." You would think after this encounter that Gideon would no longer be afraid. All these things have been told to him. Angel of God has a little display of power happen there by consuming. But let's read on. Let's go on to verses 25 through 27. Now, the same night, the Lord said to him, "Take your father's bull and a second bull 7 years old, and put down the altar of Baal, which belongs to your father, and cut down the Asherah that is beside it. And build an altar to the Lord your God on the top of this stronghold in an orderly manner, and take a second bull and offer a burnt offering with the wood of the Asherah, which you shall cut down." Then Gideon took 10 men of his servants, and did as the Lord had spoken to him. And because he was too afraid of his father's household and the men of the city to do it by day, he did it by night. Gideon was still fearful. Even after that display, Gideon was still afraid. But that's not where Gideon's stories end. Let's fast forward a little bit. The Midianites and the Amalekites and the men of the east, they all come in. They're encamped in the valley of Jezreel. Gideon has gathered Israel together. men from Manasseh, Asher, Zebulun, and Naphtali. And they're encamped there above this valley. Why? Because God told him that, Gideon, you're going to be the one who delivers Israel. You're going to lead Israel out of this burden, out of this fear in which you're living. But let's continue to read. Let's go to verse 36 through 40. Then Gideon said to God, if you will deliver Israel through me as you have spoken, behold, I will put a fleece of wool on the threshing floor. If there is dew on the fleece only, and it is dry on the ground, then I will know that you will deliver Israel through me as you have spoken. And so it was, when he arose early the next morning and squeezed the fleece, he drained the dew from the fleece, a bowl full of water. Okay, we're good. We're good, right? God did as Gideon asked. Why be afraid anymore? Let's do this. Let's take care of the Midianites, right? Let's take care of the Amalekites. Let's take care of all the men of the east. Not yet. Gideon still is afraid. Then Gideon said to God, do not let your anger burn against me that I may speak once more. Please let me make a test once more with the fleece. Let it now be dry only on the fleece, and let there be dew on all the ground. God did so that night, for it was dry only on the fleece, and dew was all on the ground. God once again, okay, you need more encouragement, Gideon? I know you're scared. Let me do something else for you. I'll humor you. But realize I've got you. I've got you. I've got your back. Right? So now we come to the point where it's time for battle. It's time for Israel to go into battle and drive out the Midianites, the Amalekites, the men of the east. And this is where Gideon's fear factor challenges start. Challenge number 1. Too many men. Too many men. Let's go to Judges 7, verses 2 and 3. The Lord said to Gideon, the people who are with you are too many for me to give Midian into their hands. For Israel would become boastful, saying, my own power has delivered me. Now therefore, come, proclaim in the hearing of the people, saying, whoever is afraid and trembling, let him return and depart from Mount Gilead. So 22,000 people returned, but 10,000 remained. I find this quite ironic. I have a man who is afraid, and he has to get up and say to everybody, if you're afraid, go home. I don't need you. He didn't get the chance to walk out, did he? No, not one bit. Not one bit. Let's read on. Let's look at challenge number 2. Challenge number 2 for Gideon. Too many men. Too many men? Challenge number 2 is still too many men. You see, when you think of a battle, what do you think you want to have? You want to have more men. You want to have strength, right? There is strength in numbers. You can probably strategize more if you have more men. Attack from more fronts, right? Nope. Still too many men. Verse 4, then the Lord said to Gideon, the people are still too many. Bring them down to the water, and I will test them for you there. Therefore it shall be that he of whom I say to you, this one shall go with you, he shall go with you. But every one of whom I say you, this one shall not go with you, he shall not go. So he brought the people down to the water, and the Lord said to Gideon, you shall separate everyone who laps the water with his tongue as a dog laps, as well as everyone who kneels to drink. Now the number of those lapped, put their hands to their mouth, was 300 men, but the rest of the people kneeled to drink water. The Lord said to Gideon, I will deliver you with the 300 men who lapped, and will give the Midianites into your hands, so let all the other people go, each man to his home. I started out with 32,000 men. Not a bad size army, right? Okay, God, you just knocked me down to 10,000. Okay, maybe we can still do this, right? Maybe? Here's 300. How would you be feeling? How do you think Gideon's feeling? You're telling me that in the description prior, the Midianites were like locusts, innumerable. And you're telling me 300 men? I'm going to tell you that I would be quaking in my boots. And then comes Gideon's third challenge. Let's keep reading. Now the same night it came about that the Lord said to him, Arise, go down against the camp, for I have given it into your hands. Okay. There's our next. It's time to go. It's game time. It's time for us to go in there. 300 guys. We're going to defeat the Midianites. But God knew something more. He knew something more. So he says, but if you are afraid to go down, go with Purah, your servant, down to the camp. So what do you think Gideon does? He goes down to the camp of Purah. God says, and I will hear you, and you will hear what they say, and afterward your hands will be strengthened, that you may go down against the camp. So he went with Purah his servant down to the outposts of the army that was in the camp. Now the Midianites and the Amalekites and all the sons of the east were lying in the valley, as numerous as locusts, and their camels were outnumbered, as numerous as the sands on the seashore. When Gideon came, behold, a man was relating a dream to his friend. And he said, Behold, I have a dream. A loaf of barley bread was tumbled into the camp of Midian, and it came to the tent and struck it so that it fell, and turned it upside down so that the tent lay flat. His friend replied, This is nothing less than the sword of Gideon, the son of Joash, a man of Israel. God has given Midian and all the camp into his hands. When Gideon heard the account of the dream and its interpretation, he bowed in worship. He returned to the camp of Israel and said, Arise, for the Lord has given the camp of Midian into your hands. Wow. Here you have a man who constantly is acting out of fear. God, show me this. God, do that. God, do this. And what does God do? He never relieves Gideon of that fear. He doesn't take that fear away. He keeps doing exactly what Gideon needed. He kept encouraging Gideon. He kept encouraging Gideon. Do you have fears in your life? Do you have fears around health? Maybe finances, family, loss, loneliness, safety. Are you worried about your kids? Worried about grandkids? Worried about the future in general? Have you been looking for God to remove those fears from your life? Have you been expecting God to give you more to remove your fears. Instead, I want to encourage you. I want to encourage you to take a different approach to fear going forward. You see, like Gideon, you don't have fear removed. God is not necessarily looking to remove fear, but he is looking to encourage you and give you exactly what you need during your time of fear. In Isaiah 41, verse 10, it says this, "Do not fear, for I am with you. Do not anxiously look about you, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. Surely I will help you. Surely I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." Nowhere does God say he's going to remove the fear. If he said he was going to remove the fear, would he need to strengthen you? Would he need to uphold you? Instead, look to God to encourage you. So as you face your fears, in the end, he can say to you, evidently, fear is not a factor for you.